All right, let's see. Is this thing on? Holy cow, and we're back.
Season 2.
Season 2, very long hiatus. Sorry, everybody.
Long hiatus. You know what? We are excused because we both
moved
a mountain of life.
I moved.
To do. Yeah.
We bought houses.
Yes, we bought houses. It's been a lot.
You have a new baby.
I have a new kitty now. Well, a new kitty, but also my first kitty. So
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
From the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
She'll grow on you. I swear.
Congratulations from a cat person to a dog person.
Animal person.
Animal person.
If I could have a wombat in here and maybe a raccoon, some foxes, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
I know I wouldn't be allowed though. No, and I need at least one crow. Actually, they are outside. They kind of follow me. So
I mean,
neighbors don't like it, but whatever.
Right. A friend in Poe has to have the crows and the ravens following them. Anyway.
Absolutely.
So shall we?
Yeah, I think so. Are we going to jump into a river?
We'll find out.
I hear the Hudson's nice this time of year. All right, let's get this started. The sky, it's dark, and the wind is blowing. Come inside. Sit down with a cup of tea while we tell you a little story. A story that lies beyond the oblong box. With your hosts, Levi Leland and Virginia Poe. Oh, we are back. Caught me pouring myself more tea. It's a little chilly in here today, but whatever.
Yeah,
it's what happens when you buy a Victorian house.
Yeah, the insulation's a bit old, I guess.
I came to find out that all the walls in my house are plaster.
Oh, okay.
None of them are drywall.
Okay. Horsehair in that plaster, very, very likely.
Yeah, probably not so unlike. We can't probably see it up here on my shelf because I have the shelf. You can't see the third shelf, but I do up on the third shelf have my Poe tarot. Hi, Trisha. Ooh. And my piece of the wall that Jeff gave to us years ago. Yeah. Yeah. But you see what's behind me? Do you see what's behind me?
I do see a familiar piece from
a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Long time ago, my first little Poe sculpture medallion, whatever you want.
I remember the day I got home, and that was at the front desk at my apartment complex when I still lived in Virginia, and I was like, oh. Because I saw the address, I'm like, what is this? And I ran upstairs and I opened it up and I was like,
an original
Levi Leland.
Love it. Day that might even be worth $5. You never know.
Oh, please. Probably. I say it is priceless to me because you made it.
Thank you. It is.
So there you go.
It's not a fact, I guess, for the Poe community. I guess that's when I was young Poe enthusiast / artist / whatever I want to proclaim.
Writer.
Yeah.
Sometimes model.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes, on a good day.
Oh, well, today we are embarking on season 2 of Beyond the Oblong Box.
Well, the timing is great.
Timing's perfect. I kind of wish we could have done this like a week ago, but
yes,
but we're back. We're back.
Timing is so great. I think there's been a recent surge in some interest in Poe.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Season.
Oh yeah.
The pale blue eye.
Yes, which is going to be our subject of discussion today. However, before we get into that, getting out my notes, you saw me put my glasses on because kind of can't, kind of need to make sure I'm not like going, wait, what is that? So we just wanted to give everybody a quick update about all the Poe happenings that are going on in communities near you. These are the things that I found online. So today, January 22nd, at the Casa del Prado Theater in San Diego, California, from 2 to 4, is the Edgar Allan Poe's Gruesome Gallery of the Grotesque. So if you're in the San Diego area and you're happening by that theater, I think you should give it a watch. And then also today and tomorrow in Richmond, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, everybody in Richmond.
There's
so many folks in Richmond, and I kind of wish I was there right now, but I'm glad I'm here doing this with you. So today, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, till 5 p.m. at the Poe Museum in Richmond, it's the second day of their birthday bash. There's going to be all sorts of readings, both poetry, stories. There's some, I believe, writing workshops that they're also having done today. There's also going to be a magic show. And then, of course, Debbie Phillips will be presenting her Eliza Poe, which I have seen her do numerous times. She is a delight. If you've never seen her perform, she is quite sweet. And I do appreciate her. As a matter of fact, she was part of the events that happened yesterday online for the birthday celebrations that were hosted via Edgar Allan Poe Forevermore. So, and then tomorrow in Richmond, now this is not at the Poe House itself, and I believe the ticket, I don't think it's sold out completely yet. There might still be tickets available, but the Poe Museum Centennial Celebration is happening.
Yes.
And that is with one Mr. R.L. Stein of Goosebumps fame. And then Nutty Okafor, another writer who's known for Who Fears Death and Black Panther. So they are both going to be there to join in with the celebration festivities for the Poe Museum in Richmond. So happy birthday, guys. 100 years.
Yeah.
It's pretty dang good.
Here's to 100 more, 1,000
Yeah,
more.
Chris, here's to 100 more years, bud. And then April 1st and 2nd, in Hunt Valley, Maryland, just outside of Baltimore, technically part of Baltimore County, so still in Baltimore, is the Telltale Steampunk Festival. You can get more information about it online at telltalesteampunk.com. I've been leaving these fabulous bookmarks that are their flyers around various places in my area, but yours truly, meaning Levi and I, are participating in this festival as well. We are actually going to do, it's going to be with an audience podcast. We've been saving a very special topic because we were like, us at a steampunk festival? How are we going to do that? And then we were like, aha, we had a moment. We had a moment. Yeah. We had a eureka moment. And so we're saving that particular topic for that festival. So if you are there, please come by, see us. There's a couple of other things that I don't think I'm allowed to say yet that we're doing for the festival, but we'll be there. I mean, I will physically be there. We're hoping Levi might be able to come, but if not, then he will be a floating head via Futurama style.
Right.
Which is, you know,
just as cool.
Just as cool. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll make it work. We'll make it work.
I have one more plug if you don't mind.
Oh my gosh, go for it.
Wednesday.
Oh yes, your
January
thing.
25th. Yeah, so I will be hosting a Poe Helen birthday salon in
Yes.
North Burial Ground in Providence, Rhode Island. So
Mm-hmm.
I've probably talked about this before.
Oh,
Sarah
yeah.
Poe's brief fiance here in Providence, Rhode Island, my home state, shared a birthday with Poe. So she was born 6 years before him, so she was 6 years older, but they shared a birthday. So I started last year hosting a salon type celebration for the two of them. So all are welcome. It's in person and online. So if you're in
Right.
the area, feel free to come by the North Burial Ground in Providence. You can just Google it.
Right.
And there'll be cake and coffee, and bring a poem to share, whether it's a personal poem or a poem from your favorite poet. You can share it. And if you can't come in person, feel free to log on virtually. Just find the North Burial Ground page on Facebook, North Burial Ground Providence, and the director there will be posting a link to the Microsoft Teams cast on that
Oh, that's
day
cool.
at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Wednesday, January 25th. So
That's
all right,
amazing.
quick plug, but yeah,
Love it.
so
Yeah, I don't know.
we're all celebrating Poe.
That's okay. I feel like I'm forgetting an event.
I haven't really done much advertising for it yet, so
Oh my gosh, I felt so stupid. I was like, I did forget an event.
that's all right.
Levi's event.
There'll only be so much space in the office, so
Sure.
I haven't done too much advertising for it, but it's
Right.
kind of like first come, first serve to fit inside the office, but everyone is free to log on virtually. So
That's cool. That's very cool. Very exciting.
yeah, so
it
is dear to my heart. You know this, Virginia. I'm sorry, but
it's okay. I just dropped my notes.
I do have Virginia tattooed on me.
I know that. I've known that for years.
I cannot have Helen tattooed on me. So,
It's okay. It's okay. Maybe I'll get Helen. Who knows?
Yeah. Hey, that would be like perfect. Yin
so
and
I
yang.
just, yeah, exactly. I just dropped my show notes. So hold on.
Perfect. All right. You might want to grab those.
Yeah.
While you're grabbing those, maybe I can show the audience my
please.
tattoo. Oh, if I can pull this sleeve up, but if
that
you guys don't recognize this,
seriously, that is amazing.
Yeah, this is our dear Poe. If it shows anybody my dedication, then Poe and Virginia are both permanently inked onto my arm. So they will be with me into eternity. But yeah, so.
Okay, I'm not going to cry.
Right?
Not going to cry. Not going to cry. I'm good. All right. So we are going to jump now into our episode.
Perfect.
Pale Blue Eye.
Yes.
Now, of course, like many good recent things that have been coming out, either streaming or in the theaters, this actually is a book that was a bestseller by a man named Louis Bayard. So it was directed by Scott Cooper, who I believe also wrote the screenplay for it, adapted the book. I believe he did both.
Right.
And then, of course, it does star my sister's forever husband, if she can ever get in touch with him. Sorry, sissy, it still hasn't worked out for you yet. But Christian Bale. As a one Augustus Landor, and then some people might recognize him, and when they do, they go, "What the what?" Mm-hmm. And because I had several people go, "Did you see this?" I'm like, "I've known about it for a while, but yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah." Mr. Harry Melling. Playing my beloved husband. So
which did a pretty decent job, I think.
He did a fantastic job.
Yes,
he did a fantastic job.
I don't think a lot of people could imagine him in that role because Harry Potter fans.
Yeah, I mean,
stuck his little cousin, right?
Yeah,
and now he's this, grown.
He's a grown man.
Yeah, and
he's a grown man.
He's a grown man, and he played a great Poe. I think his features were odd enough to kind of pull off that Poe-esque countenance,
Sure.
He didn't look too, cookie cutter of an actor.
Yeah.
He was a little odd in his features and stuff, which helped, portray that Poe-like character. So he did a great job. I enjoyed it.
And I mean, I want to watch it again because I think I was too focused on Harry the whole time.
Yes, kind of
going like looking, but it was more looking at his face and watching his expressions and really paying attention to his voice. I would like to know if he spent any time in Henrico County in preparing for this role, or if he just listened to a lot of folks from the Richmond area speak, because I thought he did a pretty decent, Southeastern Virginia accent.
Especially
seeing that I am from Virginia.
Yeah. So you'd be the best judge of that.
I mean, like I said, I've got friends down there. I've got family down there. I mean, I'm from the Shenandoah Valley, even though I know you can't tell. Thank you, years of acting and non-region diction speaking. Although every now and again, I feel like some of my Shenandoah Valley accent comes out, but
it has to though. And I the same goes for me. I have that Rhode Island accent hinted a little bit in my voice. No matter how hard I try to mask it, it comes out.
It just comes out.
You can't help where you're from. That's just,
no, you can't. You can't. But considering, he is a British actor, I was like,
that's what I was going to mention.
That was going to be my biggest thing was, all right, I haven't really heard him speak yet. I want to hear this. Right. And I think I was really, the other thing that kept driving me nuts going, holy cow, like his hair.
Oh, the hair. Yes.
Like the hair.
That was like the first thing I commented on. The hair, they looking at the Annie.
Like, is he wearing a wig? Because not that it looks like a wig. It looks very, very natural, but it also very much looks like Eddie's actual hair, like the way his hair grew and
just the style and the cut. I mean,
yes.
I'm sure if he was that dedicated, which I know actors do all the time, they could have very well just had a hairstylist cut his hair.
True. True.
Very similar style to Poe's. If you look at the Stella daguerreotype and the Annie daguerreotype of Poe, which they're two different daguerreotypes, but taken at the same sitting, they only differ
slightly.
The style of his hair in those photographs you can tell that's what they referenced for the character, because they kind of gave him the bangs a little bit, the kind of messy short bangs, and then it kind of flopped down and curled at the ends, and perfect. I mean,
it was just absolutely perfect.
The hair was perfect. The accent, as we were talking about, was quite accurate for Poe, because he did have that Southern, that Virginian accent, but not to the extent where he wasn't pronouncing his ings. So he still had that type of drawl to his speaking voice, but he still enunciated his words, so he still had that kind of eloquence in his voice, I guess.
So
they did a great job with that. The West Point attire was pretty accurate according to of West Point.
That was another thing I was kind of really watching and kind of did a little bit of research on, because I'm always very surprised with costuming. I guess because, being from the theater, being even at my age, yes, I still cosplay. When you're trying to do things accurately and correctly, there's some things just for the sake of, a costume. You're like, do I really want to do 20 sets of button eyelets just so I can lace something up? No, screw it. We're going to put a zipper in because this is going to be a little easier. So that then makes it historically inaccurate. But I was just very impressed by the uniforms. And did go and look, and they did a very, very nice job with those uniforms.
Yes.
So I was really paying attention to that. It was very nicely done. Very nicely
I would
done.
agree. The
I
setting
enjoyed.
too, well, not so much the setting. I mean, it takes place at West Point in New York.
Sure.
But I think that the time of year was a good choice because he
Perfect.
enlisted in March of 1838, I want to say. I can reference my note. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. 1830.
He enlisted in March 1830.
Mm-hmm. Well, no. He enlisted into the Army in 27.
27.
Yeah.
Secured the appointment at West Point from 1830, was enlisted in March, and then was pretty much booted out. How this is another controversial topic we can talk about, but he was purposely expelled by the very following year, March 1831. So they had a whole year to kind of pick how they wanted the season, the setting to be. And I'm glad they went with winter because the dreariness of just the setting of the snow and the dead forest, and it just was kind of an interesting choice. And I think it worked well, and everything kind of contrasted off of the white backgrounds very well when there was outdoor settings, the outdoor scenes, and so I appreciated that.
Hi, Clementine.
Here's my new
hi, sweethearts.
my new co
baby.
Yeah. Let's hope she doesn't stomp on my laptop and
and disconnect us
mid podcast.
Oh, maybe she'll be a good girl. Actually, believe it or not, I'm sure everybody's kind of like, wait, Virginia's got 3 boys.
Right.
Why doesn't she have a cat in her lap? They're across the living room. They're across my living room because that's where I am currently. This is my living room. This will not be the permanent setup. I do have an office. I just haven't gotten it set up yet. I got to paint and things before I can do the office setup. So for now, we're in front of my husband's shelfie, as we can see. But they're all curled up in a big cat pile because they're telling me, "Mommy, we're cold." I'm actually really surprised that Lucian is not over here on my lap because he has been pawing at me all morning, like, "Hey."
Pay attention.
Anyway,
to me,
all right. Digressing from cats, back to Eddie. Back to Eddie. But so the scene in which it's set, because he was expelled, or dishonorably discharged, whichever way you would like to look at it.
Right.
Hey, we all have our bad days, man.
Right.
But that actually happened in January of 1831. It doesn't. Nothing actually lists an actual date that I could find. I'm sure if we went back through West Point records, we could probably find it. But everywhere that I've ever read and ever looked at, it's just said January.
Right. I think by March of the following year, he was officially expelled from what
correct.
But pretty much his stint at West Point was a year.
Basically a year. Right. So he was let go due to gross neglect of duty and disobedience of orders. I would just like to state for the record, we artist types, while we may be disciplined, we don't take orders well.
Yes, and that was one thing I was going to mention with Poe. I don't think organized education or organized systems of discipline was his cup of tea. No pun intended.
But this is my cup of tea.
But it proved historically for his time at the University of Richmond, Virginia, not Richmond, the University of
UVA.
UVA. While he was in, season 2, episode 1, my brain is foggy. I am trying to get back.
Good morning, Levi.
And it's early. This is an early shoot, so I did have 2 cups of coffee, but my brain is still,
It's fine, love.
We got to get back into it. I'm a little fried, I gotta say, just from everything else. So Poe, I gotta draw him back in a little bit. So
you've been focused on the house. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just my brain.
Okay.
My brain.
You had way more to do with yours than I did with mine.
it was a process. It was a huge process. So, but
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
Poe, historically, his time at the University of Virginia didn't go quite well.
No, which was prior, I mean, like immediately before he went into the Army.
Right. And
Yeah.
his time in the Army went surprisingly well. So, he spent
2
about,
years, two
yeah,
full years before he went
2
to West Point.
right. And,
Mm-hmm.
he ranked all the way up to sergeant major, which I think was like the highest military rank you could achieve as just an enlisted man. So,
Mm-hmm.
and he did quite well in the Army. So, it's funny how I think by the time he got to West Point, he was more headstrong in his pursuit of poetry
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
literature, and so I think that was starting to kind of distract him and kind of overtake his main mission.
Mm-hmm.
So
Correct.
I think in West Point, I mean, you couldn't own any other kind of book. Yeah, Clem. You couldn't own any other kind of book, and aside from your school books.
As far as I know, that's correct.
Yeah. This was some quick fact checking I was doing. So yes, you weren't allowed to have any other types of books or literature besides your school books,
Mm-hmm.
academic
Right.
books. So
Right.
this of course would not have proved very well for Poe because he was pursuing
Writing. Yeah.
writing prowess. He was pursuing his writing
Right.
prowess, and so I just don't think West Point was a great match for him. But I guess it did teach him. It was another point in his life that allowed him to learn a little bit of discipline, a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
education. I mean, he was there a year. He did receive a pretty decent education there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, like many things for Poe, the ending is a little bit tumultuous, but that's what we expect
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
Poe.
Exactly. And I mean, there was, because he is who he is and was who he was, going into West Point or going into the Army, period. He had done a little incorrect math to get into the Army.
Yeah. Yes, he was.
He was listed as being 22 and he was only 18.
Right.
So,
and enlisted under a name that wasn't his, Edgar A. Perry.
Yes. And that's the other thing that most people don't know is that that's part of why when you go to look for things about him being in the Army, initially you're not going to find it because you're not going to find it listed as Edgar A. Poe. It's going to be the Edgar Perry name.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm going through a lot of tea this time.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe I could use another cup myself as I put my brain back into Poe.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so with West Point, little bit of fun facts. It is, and this does come from the West Point website, where there is a museum. So anyone who would like to go visit the actual site, there is a museum and tours and whatnot that you can actually take. And it is a very beautiful area. I have been there before. And it is along the west bank of the Hudson River. Very beautiful. It's really pretty back there. Really pretty. Which I feel like the movie did really capture that.
Yeah.
That beauty. I think they nailed it pretty darn well. It was established as an academy in 1802. In the early days of the academy, it was primarily all the staff were members of the Army Corps of Engineers. Mm-hmm. So that was a very, high intelligence, mathematical school.
Yeah, you were taking orders. You were being taught by some pretty significant and pretty well-educated people. So it was
absolutely
a very serious academy to be a musician. I mean, not just anybody was taken into West Point. So
yeah, no, you had to literally, it was like you would have to apply, and it was like winning a lottery if you were accepted.
Right.
Yeah, it's also one of the, well, it isn't one of, it is the oldest occupied army posts in the United States. So, and it's, still regular army, still occupied, and it was a major strategic site during the American Revolution, but the British just could not take it. They just didn't have any luck in that. And then, of course, after the Revolution, they established the academy that we know today as West Point. Yeah, and so prior to Eddie being in the army, he was at the University of Virginia, where he was there for about a year before.
Seems to be a pattern. I think a year is pretty good.
Try
anything for a year and then move on.
Right. But I think, I honestly think if he hadn't gotten into the trouble with his stepfather that he did, because, again, we all have our good days and bad days, and we have things that are, that will do us in, and things that, lift us up. And, well, he did get in trouble with gambling. And that was something that, his stepfather was very, very not about. And so he wouldn't let him return to UVA, even though his studies were going well there. It was the gambling debt that his stepfather was not pleased with, and just said, no, you're not going back. And so that was when he entered the army under a different name and a fake age.
Yeah, I feel like often with Poe in his biography, there are so many other variables to these quick facts that a lot of people know today that people don't either care to know more about, or they just are unaware of in general, but they just they scratch the surface. And so we have this depiction of Poe that sometimes doesn't look so good. But the reality is,
we're human.
Right. Everybody has, like you said, their good days, bad days. Everybody makes mistakes, and everyone has their own reasoning for things, and that doesn't exclude historical figures. So when we hear things about these figures, and especially like Poe, he had his reasons for these things. I mean, there was a reason why he purposely got kicked out of West Point. There was a reason. It's not just that he was a screw up and decided, he just got kicked out. No,
it wasn't his true passion.
Exactly. And as far as I know, it was very hard to get out of West Point once you were in. So he did the only thing he knew how to get out of it as quickly as he could, so he could pursue what he wanted. And that was by purposely getting expelled. And there's a rumor that I hear all the time, which it's just a rumor. It's just a myth. It's funny, but it's a myth, and we can kind of dispel that here. But that he showed up to drill. I think there was some kind of code.
Oh, yes.
You had to wear your belt a certain way and your gloves a certain way. And so Poe showed up to drill only wearing the belts
and gloves, even though that did not happen.
It didn't happen, but it's funny. And I was almost kind of like wondering, are they gonna do something like that in the movie, like towards the end?
Yeah, I was glad they didn't.
I'm not gonna get too much into it, but I'm glad they didn't, because that is a rumor. That is a myth. That's not true.
Yeah. Because I have to say, I was actually kind of surprised by the amount of, I did personally, I don't know if you did, but I personally had several people reach out to me after the movie came out saying, did he really go to West Point? And I'm like, how do you not know this? Because two of the people that reached out to me and asked me the questions, they're both writers. So I was just like, what? Yeah. How do you not know that? Right. But I was like, okay, I guess we're going to have to talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think, Poe fans and Poe aficionados, Poe scholars, people who take Poe a little bit more seriously than the average fan of his, they always dread these kinds of things because it
Mm-hmm.
goes away, right? I mean, we've
Right.
seen bad depictions of Poe. We've read
Lots.
a lot of bad biographies of Poe because
Rufus Griswold.
yeah,
That jerk.
and that's the problem, that initial slandering of Poe still gets carried out today, even in contemporary biographies of him and movies and television series, whatever it may be, where there's Poe.
Right.
We kind of fear how it's going to go. We almost dread it, right? And I think I used to be that way. I used to be very on edge about these new Poe things, But
I still get that way. I cringe a little sometimes.
It's cringe. Yeah, I think the extent of
I'm
it
like,
is,
please don't let them make him be awful.
Right. And that's, I still get those feelings too, but I've learned to instead try to take the positive from it, right? And
sure.
Something like this, we lucked out. It was a decent depiction of Poe, and we lucked out. But above all, we lucked out with
it was a blessing. It was a blessing.
Yes. And above all, we get people talking about Poe. Now, I've seen articles come out now circulating, the internet with, oh, Poe in West Point, the pale blue eye, was Poe really in West Point? And most of the articles are pretty good. They give a good depiction of answering some of these questions now that people are having because, this popular movie came out on Netflix. So it's bringing attention to Poe. And that's
that's the positive in it. Yeah. It's getting people to look it up, read it, or reach out.
Right. Or reach
and
out
ask.
Reach out to your local Poe aficionado, please, and make sure these are fact checked.
We are here for you.
We are here for you.
Which is how this whole podcast got started to begin with.
And if you have to cancel your appointment with us, please give us a 24-hour notice or you will not get your deposit back.
I'm done with that.
Yeah.
I'm done with the freebies. Yeah.
So overall, I'm happy. It was a decent depiction. And it's bringing people to Poe a little bit. People are, I think from this, people might have been interested in picking up some of his works or maybe picking up a biography or whatever it may be. It's bringing attention to Poe, and I think above all, that's what we can appreciate, in this.
And I think as a final note about Eddie being at West Point before he was expelled, he did manage to earn a sum of $170 from his classmates.
Yes, this is
to publish some of his own poetry. So.
Yeah. Now, should I further that and say how that went?
Please. Okay. Yes, please.
So
please take it away, partner.
Which they did a good job in the movie, where Poe was kind of entertaining his classmates with some little poetry things that he made up about his professors, kind of goofing on the professors. So that he used to, make up little poems about the
almost like limericks.
Yeah, exactly. And all his fellow cadets, they loved it because they were picking fun at the professor or the whatever. So when they all contributed to this book of his, they were kind of had their hopes high that it would be kind of a funny depiction of Poe's professors and whatnot, and when the West Point cadets. But it was a serious book of poetry. They were actual poems, so they were a little, disappointed by this. And it's even speculated a lot of them threw their copies in the Hudson River. It was this whole thing. So funny enough that, so Poe, he was good at getting what he wanted and reaping these resources, right? To pursue what he actually wanted to pursue. And I think that's what made him so, maybe not financially successful, but it made him successful in his career, in his writing, in his pursuits of poetry. And so he was very, very smart. He knew how to get what he needed to get his passion and his work to the public, whether they liked it or not, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
we appreciate that. We appreciate Poe.
Yes, we do. Absolutely. Well, that's a beautiful note to end on. So I guess we should probably say ta-ta for now. But of course, you can find us online on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. Of course, Levi and I are both individually on Facebook and Instagram too, if you'd like to find us there. And then next week, we'll be back with our next episode. Very exciting. Very exciting. All right. Well, Levi, thank you for being here.
Season 2.
Season 2. I've missed you.
It feels like home.
I know. All right. And until next time, we'll see you then.
Cheers.
Bye.